Oh, so I'm already being recorded. I love that. Hi. Hello there, world. I actually think the before behind the media is the funniest part of this whole live stream. But who am I to judge my own work? Oh, Mr. Dan, your studio awaits you.
We're here. You know what? I didn't. Where is the little plug thing here? I'll need that. There we go. This is
it's dangling. Does that mean we haven't been? Oh, no, that's for the phone, which means I get to wear my headphones
you'll need that.
for our big interview. I can't wait for him to describe what the heck Ethereum means and what's this other fancy word?
Your forehead's a little shiny.
Yeah, I know. All right. Don't get this on camera.
Too late.
Where's my little thing? I thought it was here. Oh, here it is. I'll tell you, what I was thinking, actually, Stephen, is to put some kind of a gel.
Yeah, on the light.
On the light.
That might help too.
I mean, let me just do something crazy, okay? That's probably too dark, huh?
I mean...
That's too dark.
Too dark?
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
I mean, I can see you, Jimmy.
I
That's too
understand.
dark.
I can see you.
All right.
By the way, if you're just tuning in, we're experimenting.
That's what I said.
Right before our show begins.
I said before behind the media is sometimes more entertaining than the actual program.
It is, and this is us getting ready for our show. We have a good show today. Lots of fun stuff going on.
Oh, sorry.
Bell. And you know where to ring the bell, right?
It says bell.
Well, I didn't write bell on there, did I?
Yes, you did.
Not after buzzing about. The top one I didn't, I don't think. No, the very first one. So it should be quick hits of some of the other stories everyone's buzzing about. Then there should be a bell there.
Wait, buzzing about?
Buzzing about. The very top. The very top of the script when we do the intros.
I know, I'm looking. Oh, buzzing about.
Buzzing about. That's
right
where you do
before hello, everybody.
Exactly. Exactamente. And how's the audio there, Steve?
Audio's coming in good.
And Jimmy, let me hear you.
1, 2, 3, 4. Can we keep the audio down a tad over there too?
Yeah.
Because we peaked on audio last week, and you know it's easier to boost than to undo.
Don't worry, I'll dim it down a little bit.
Just a skosh, as they say.
So we're gonna.
How much is a skosh, by the way?
Has
anybody ever?
Skosh is.
Okay. You've heard the word before.
I think I've heard it. Yes.
Okay.
Oh boy. So my pages are mixed up here. Here we go. Good thing I looked at this because. So we're gonna do Facebook for about a half hour.
20 to 25.
25 minutes, and then we'll bring in our guest.
Yeah.
And then
I hope we can go 20 to 25.
Well, what if we can't? Then we're in trouble, right?
No, we're not. You're calling him?
Yes, I am calling him.
And we're going to just kind of do that live. It's not, and then we're going to edit in.
No, I'm gonna do it pretty. I have the number there. I'll just call him and bring him in. Yeah, because usually we do it after during the halftime.
Right.
So we're being
Karen
bold.
McDougal.
What about it?
She's the Playboy model.
Oh, the other one. Yeah, we're being kind of bold here in doing it. I'll dial the number. He'll come in, and then I'll bring him in from there.
Right.
So
Behind the scenes.
You're going to do all that. So
I will do all that. Whether or not it will work, seamlessly, we shall see. But so halftime.
I tell you, you can't make stuff up about our POTUS. That's all I can say. You don't have to. We don't have to make it fake because in reality, he gives us plenty of material.
Exactly.
I just want to say. All right, I'm going to put this guy down here because we don't need it now. We don't need my phone, and it's on Vibe, so it shouldn't go off. And
yeah. Okay.
I'm ready.
I think you're ready, right? We're all ready. Steve, you ready?
Yep.
Oh, well, then you're not ready.
I'm still pretty shiny, huh?
Yeah, not as bad though.
How's that? That takes the shine right out, doesn't it?
You're tuned in to Behind the Media. Dan Lothian and Jimmy Young bring 70 years of award-winning broadcast experience to the table. From newsrooms across the country, behind anchor desks and in the field, they've seen and covered it all. And now they are here to take you behind the media.
You're going to have to embrace technology. If you're an educator,
I'm embracing it.
I want you to use the phone to help teach these kids.
You don't need to do that. I was covering the president in China, and we did a behind-the-scenes video. This is a gong, or
no, not a gong, a bong.
A bong.
With a B.
That's right. I said
the
gong.
Gong is a
That's
gong
right.
show.
I said gong.
Gong
Bong.
makes noise.
Bong.
Okay.
Why is it, Jimmy? Why?
Because sex sells, Dan.
True, but it's only part of the answer. It is. You have to be more creative now to be able to tell a story, and sometimes it's just a before and after picture and saying, which one do you want to be? Will the data breach scandal bring down social media giant Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg fesses up in an exclusive CNN interview, but not everyone is buying it.
We're about to give you a lesson in civility. Well, we're actually talking about a new company called Civil that's looking to save journalism with innovation in the 21st century. Think blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Say what?
Huh? We have a live guest to break all that down and explain that to you. I'm glad, by the way.
That's right. Here's a headline that grabbed our attention. How a porn star is beating Trump at his own media game. Enough said. Don't miss out on our third quarter.
And our fourth quarter are bites behind the media, quick hits of some of the other stories everybody is buzzing about. Bell.
Hello, everybody. Are you ready for a verbal workout? We're here to mix things up. This is Behind the Media.
And
I'm Dan Lothian.
Wait, you're Dan Lothian.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. That makes me Jimmy Young. I was going to read I'm Dan Lothian, just for the record.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter and listen to us on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by RX Bar, the Whole Foods Protein Bar. Go to rxbar.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS for 25% off your first purchase. We're also brought to you by Little Park Media, where ideas come to life, producing corporate videos and podcasts to tell your story. For more information, you can check out littleparkmedia.com or contact info@littleparkmedia.com. So the Facebook fallout, we don't have to walk through all the details, Jimmy, of the data breach. That's old news. What is real news and new news is what we have been talking about since last week, actually, about Mark Zuckerberg and his attempt to save his company that continues to be hammered even after his mea culpa on CNN.
I thought he was very genuine.
You thought so?
Yeah, I did. And that's just because I'm a naive guy. I believed him. He felt bad. He feels bad. Look, his company lost $50 billion.
Yeah,
okay, in value.
Yeah.
He feels bad about that.
He feels bad that he's caught.
Yes.
He's this kid, essentially. He's a grown-up man now, still living in the mind of a kid with a startup in a dorm room. And he should have moved away from that a long time ago. And we were talking about this last week, Jimmy, when we were sort of rolling out some of the blowback from people like the chairman over at NBC that was complaining about some of the practices of not being able to generate revenue from Facebook. And that was, we were predicting that maybe this is the first little crack that we're seeing in this armor that has been surrounding Facebook for so long. And we're seeing that it's been one bad negative thing after the other. And Facebook has refused to come clean, to just open up and say, look, we'll tell you what's going on here. We're trying to stop this from happening. We're trying to clean things up. They don't do that. In fact, they run from the press. And now he comes with this interview saying, oh, I'm sorry. We were changing things. We were fixing things up. Yeah, hogwash. I don't buy it.
I know you don't buy it. And I'm not going...
Even though we're coming live on...
I was going to say,
we also do our like podcast.
Facebook,
we also go live on Facebook.
It has a function.
It does have a function.
It has a function in our world right now for many reasons, whether you just post pictures on it or whatever. But it has been exposed Because how many times have you loaded an app on your phone and said, they ask you to give us a username and a password, or you can log in through Facebook.
Oh, yes. Just use that. And now you're logging into everything. And every time you do that, you have left a fingerprint and a footprint and an elbow print and a face print and all the prints that exist.
You are correct, Mr. Lothian.
Thank
yes,
you.
Indeed.
And you win $100,000.
Go to the head of the class,
That's
please.
Right.
And I will say this about some of the media coverage on Mark Zuckerberg's mea culpa. By the way, crisis communication PR 101.
Right.
I'm sorry, I screwed up.
Right. And that's good. Except it just seemed as if he was walking. Okay, now check that. Number two,
he said, we tried to put something in place a few years ago. We kind of knew this was going on. And without actually saying, we knew it was going on, but we kind of let it happen.
Right.
Which it would have been basically admitting guilt.
Well, but what they did was when they finally found out that this was happening, they told the company that they had to, number one, stop, and number two, that they had to get rid of all of this data that they had accumulated in this process.
Yep.
And then I presume they thought that happened.
Right.
And then the story breaks that, in fact, that hadn't taken place.
Right. And this Cambridge Analytica group, it's local, is it? Yeah. Is it not in the Cambridge, Massachusetts? At least
I think
started?
It's a local company. Yeah,
and the CEO, I think, has since stepped down. Right. Oops. They were the ones that were involved with the election. However, right. And again, this is continuing to evolve and be investigated by the independent counsel as what happened during that election, right. And who's to blame. And Facebook was involved with it. And I find it interesting now, Facebook is actually taking out ads in Mexico, basically saying, hey, beware of fake news. We learned our lesson a couple years ago, so don't let this happen in Mexico, please. It's kind of an interesting thing.
Look, a couple of things. First of all, back to the point of him in this interview.
Yes.
I thought it was just too clean, right? It's as if he was reading from this script, and I got to walk through all this. He was well practiced, and it just didn't. Even though you thought it was sincere, I thought it was lacking, right? It was lacking in true sincerity.
That's the difference between the two of us, by the way.
Exactly.
You would be the hardcore journalist, right. And I would be the naive sports guy who just believes everybody.
Right. I certainly thought it was lacking. The other thing, too, is, so they've made this case of...
They humanized Mark Zuckerberg, too.
Well, I don't know if you can do that.
But they did. They put him out there with his wife and his kids.
Yes,
and,
they did try to do that. Which, again, I think was overdone, right? I think that was the whole playbook thing. Let's try to make him look human. Forget that. Tell me how you're going to make this problem go away. How can you prevent a lot of these things? And you know what? They simply can't. I think that's the problem with Facebook, is that Facebook has created a monster, and they're trying to put a dog collar around it and a leash and keep it from running over the fence and biting people who are walking down the sidewalk, and they can't. Because it's a dog that keeps reproducing and doesn't care about fences and will bite anyone at any time. You can't corral Facebook. They've created something that it's impossible to truly police. You block one entrance and one exit, and another one opens up.
Even Zuckerberg has said maybe it's time that this company or social media needs regulation. He says he'd be willing to go testify before Congress. And they also said that they won't axe the business model.
But he hasn't, though.
Why?
He's been invited to testify, and he hasn't.
It's been a big week for the guy, okay?
Yeah,
give him
he
another.
had other opportunities to go and testify, and he didn't.
And he's saying, but now he said he'd be willing to do it.
Of course now. Now that his pants are down, yes.
All right, so you know what? You don't want to walk around with your pants down.
Well, no.
Okay, you just don't. You're going to get arrested for that,
yes,
right?
Yeah. Well, in some places, yes.
Right. So, anyway, point being, I think he's willing to do it. They've humanized him. They've gone through this crisis of management, but don't take away from the fact that 2 billion people use Facebook.
Including us.
Right.
Although they may, after this, they may turn it off.
No, I don't think they will. In fact, they want people like us to talk about them because it adds to their reach and their frequency, and it galvanizes, and it takes that audience and gives them something more to dig their hands into, watch, use, and that's what social media is.
No, it is. Now,
share.
It is all about share. Not the singer share, but share. Right.
SHARE.
But I do think, Jimmy, I do have a lot of concerns about these privacy issues. Now, when you pointed out earlier that you go to a website. In fact, just a while ago, I was trying to log into Fiverr. which we've used Fiverr for different things. A wonderful platform for where
Don't
people.
tell anyone.
Well, no, everybody knows.
Don't we have a graphics department? Come on,
Yes,
we
we
got
do.
20
Yeah,
or 30 graphics people.
It's a platform where people, freelancers all around the world, can do a lot of work, and you can have access to them. But I was trying to go on, and I was on a different computer that didn't remember my login, and it was asking me, "Oh, do you want to log in through Facebook?" And so we have all gotten so used to using Facebook as a channel to get into just about everything in our lives. So we understand that a lot of our personal information is getting out there, but
You can control that. That's what people don't
can.
recognize.
You can
control the notifications. You
Yes,
can
you can.
control the access through the apps that you download.
You can.
But we tend to be lazy, and
Well,
if you
but
can do it through Facebook, we'll do it. Well, now you know what happens when that happens.
But here's the problem, Jimmy, is that not only Facebook, some of the other social media sites, they make it convenient for you to sign in or to have a pathway through their site in order to get somewhere. It's just easy, right? So it's like, well, if you want to play with us, it becomes easier. If you don't want to give us information, if you don't want to opt into a lot of these things, it's going to be much more difficult for you to navigate around the internet, right? You have to constantly be logging in. So it's almost as if, well, you have a way to opt out of this, but every time you come, you're going to have to take your keys out of your pocket. You're going to have to fiddle around a little bit. It really forces you to play the game, does it not?
Well, no, you said it, Dan. It makes it easy for us. We're
Right.
human beings.
Yeah.
We naturally want the
We're lazy.
shortcut and the easy way out.
Right.
I mean, okay, we're all hardworking people. Some work harder than others. Okay, but we really are. We're not afraid of hard work. But when given the opportunity to cut a corner, you cut that corner. I used to have a soccer coach in high school who used to give us a hard time. By the way, he knew nothing about soccer. I won't name. He knew nothing about soccer. He was an English coach.
Right.
And the reason why he was the coach of our soccer team was because his son was the captain of the rival soccer team in another city.
Okay.
Anyway, don't cut corners. Hey, Young, you're cutting corners there. I mean, it was like 6 inches. I hit I hit the chalk.
You were
as it were.
cutting, believe me, you cut corners.
I did not cut corners when I did my laps.
You can see the chalk flying. When
All
you hit
right,
it.
fine. Admit it. I admit it. I cut corners when I played soccer. I didn't do a whole 90-degree turn.
But society in general likes the easy pathway, and these social media sites make it very easy for you to navigate around. And we put a lot of faith and trust that the information that we hand over to them, this precious cargo of your social security number or your name or your birthday or all of the things that you like and all of your friends and your contact list and access to your photo. Is there more, Jimmy? I mean, there's just...
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's why I actually pay for LifeLock. LifeLock is again, how secure is LifeLock? They're monitoring. I get notices about security breaches with a variety of things, whether it was TJX a few years ago. Pick a security breach, any security breach over the last 6 months. You get the little thing. Hey, by the way,
that's right.
If we find anything, we'll let you know. They're monitoring it out there. I mean, I'm paying for a monitoring service.
You have all that, but still, there
by
is
the way,
a certain level.
if anybody really wants to know anything about me, just call me.
That's right.
I'll be happy to share.
That's right. He'll give you everything.
Hey, what do you want?
Yeah,
Social
whether
Security
you want to know it or not.
begins with a 1.
Exactly.
Sorry. Now figure it out.
Mine has numbers in it.
Yes, yes, indeed.
But I do think, you do, on a serious note, I mean, you do expect that there is this level, when you do hand over this information, that it will be handled in a careful way. And what I found in having a discussion with some folks about this issue is that in the past, when your stuff gets passed along to someone else, yes, people get upset about it. But there were some people who actually expressed, and we're going down this road, Jimmy, that every podcast you have to mention the name. You
POTUS?
talk. Yes, you
the
always.
POTUS?
You always.
I won't mention his name.
There were some people who are left of left, and they are very angry, radically left. Yeah, radically left. Right, exactly. In fact,
it's like Passover. I'm going to lean over to the left.
Instead of making
sorry,
instead of making right turns at a light, they'll make a U-turn in order to make a left turn in order to go back left. That's just the way they are. Right, exactly.
Yikes! I've never even thought of that.
Yes.
I'm going to have to start practicing that.
There you go.
Don't want to lose
because
my
you
reputation.
are one of those people.
Yes, I am.
But
I'll admit it.
Right, but for these folks,
can't we all just get along, Dan? Come on.
Well, you and I get along.
I know,
but the issue,
people should take an example from this.
Exactly.
Come on.
But the issue here is that some of these folks, say, okay, it's one thing for our information to get stolen or sold or passed along to someone else, but they were angry that their information as left of lefters was used to somehow get a right or wherever you want to put President Trump to help him get elected or to play some role in the election. And that is what angers them. And I was actually surprised by that, because I thought in general you would just be angry about your information getting out there. But this one they felt went a little beyond something that they could
You've
accept.
been taken advantage of
Right.
by using social media, by being part of this world. You know, we have mentioned this many times. Technology moves so fast
Yes.
that, you know, people my age, which is, let's just say, over 40.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's a big one,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
a big.
Very good.
Some are
42.
well over 40.
You're 42. Very- yeah. Just go with
Basically, we had to learn that we didn't grow up with computers. We didn't grow up with technology. I grew up with black and white televisions and rotary phones.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. We have one on display in our museum piece. Anyway,
right.
point being, when you get to be our age, you know, it goes back to that cutting corners analogy. You have to learn.
that. Yeah, you do.
You have to learn. And the industry has not, they're learning as they're going.
Well,
it's a new industry. Social media, it wasn't here 20 years ago.
Right. And some of the things that you had in place or you didn't think about when you were building it, I think Zuckerberg talks about this, where he says, you know, this is something, it was this thing that I created. I was a young kid when I was creating this, you know, and there are not safeguards that were put in place, or they were put in place too late, or they weren't properly monitored.
Or he's a business guy and he liked the money he was making because the advertisers could get access to the data of his users.
Look, I think nobody thinks, and this is one of the, we've had the conversation about artificial intelligence, that there's a lot of study and you know, let's really analyze this even before it gets to mass scale, and it is getting there. Certainly, it's moving at warp speed. But we are spending a lot of time, and a lot of these big companies are spending a lot of money trying to figure out some of the potential pitfalls, some of the ethical dilemmas that you might run into along the way, even before you get there. We're much wiser about these things because the industry is growing up. But I don't think that any of that was considered when Facebook was growing up. It was all about the fast growth that was taking place and the minting of the millionaires and the billionaires. And now it's like, maybe we should have been paying more attention to this stuff a long time ago.
No, I mean, it's simple as the emails that were part of the election in 2016, too. I mean, you know, that Hillary used a server that wasn't protected. And, you know, who thinks about that when you're sending an email out, when you're over 40, okay?
Right.
I get it.
Yeah,
Now you have to.
The thing is that you have to be thinking about all of these things, because now people can get their hands on information and things can end up in the wrong place, and it's powerful enough to bring your company down. One of the things that I saw recently, someone posted on Facebook, of all places, a picture of, and I forget the name of the guy who founded MySpace.
Right.
So it was a photo of this guy standing there, and it says something like, I think the caption was, when Zuckerberg wakes up in the morning, this is what he sees in the mirror. Or does he see this in the mirror?
No, it's actually, he doesn't wake. It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. He wakes up from this nightmare. And now he's living a nightmare because there's actually a campaign to dump Facebook. And in my class, you know, I teach at a local college, and one of the courses I taught was in mass media, and I was enlightening some of the young people that were in the class. And by the way, these were graduate students. Mm-hmm. One of them came in after I explained to them about how the advertisers go about getting the information about where you are, what you've been looking at, all this stuff. He says, "Hey, I deleted Facebook. I'm done. I'm not going on social media anymore. Hey, you know what? I'm learning to read again. I'm learning to actually breathe again."
Oh, wow.
Yes. Think about that for a second. If you're that consumed, and there's more and more studies about people who are addicted to these damn phones and their devices, and they're not having communication.
They have to go to counseling for dumping Facebook. Maybe that's a whole new industry. I dump Facebook. Help me.
It's like removing a tattoo. right? You're
Well,
gonna,
you know what, though? You bring up a good point. Removing a tattoo is not easy.
I know that.
It's easier now.
Neither is getting your information off the internet,
well,
right?
And apparently, and I spoke to a couple of young people who tried to, they're part of the protest of I'm dumping Facebook.
Right.
Apparently, it's not that easy to dump Facebook.
3 months, I believe.
It takes a process. Just when somebody was explaining to me that they tried to delete it, and it said that you needed a password in order to delete it. So they entered the very password that gives them access to Facebook, and they couldn't.
It's the wrong password.
It's the wrong password. So in order for them to do it, they had to create another account using a new password, apparently. And again, I haven't verified this. I'm just going anecdotally by what I was told, is that it is very difficult. You don't just hit the way you would delete something from your computer file. You don't just hit that button in order to delete it. I'm guessing that that's part of the infrastructure of Facebook to keep people around, right? If you make it harder for someone to dump you, then they may just say, you know what, I'll just keep it around. And eventually somebody will say, did you see this on Facebook? And they'll go back and you'll turn on the lights and pick up where you left off. And maybe that's what's behind this.
Well, again, what's behind it is the fact that this is a natural evolution of when the wild west, when there is no regulation, and there's no guidance. It's just how it, again, what's the crisis today?
Right.
Every day there's going to be another one.
And they've had crisis back to back with this company. Now, do you think they can survive it? I mean, we joked about the MySpace one, but do you think that 5 years from now, even less or longer, that Facebook will be around?
And the answer to that question is yes.
Why?
It may not
Why is
be
that?
Because they're making money, and they will figure out a way to continue to make money. And they have this $2 billion worth of, they have assets that are $2 billion. They have 2 billion assets, and they're monetizing those assets. Will they be able to monetize them at the same level that they are right now? I don't know the answer to that question. It's one of the reasons I think that Facebook is going into Facebook original programming.
We were talking about that yesterday.
Tom versus Time,
Yeah.
the 6-part documentary by your pal Sharma and his kid there. And so anyway, point being, they're going to start putting their money, like Netflix, like give me another independent producer.
Hulu's doing
Hulu's
stuff.
doing original programming.
Right.
What we're seeing is what evolved in media over the years. First there was print, and then it went over to radio, and then to television. I'm cutting a few corners here. And now, because you are monetizing the followings, the eyeballs or the listeners or whatever the mass is that you are monetizing, you might have to take a step back and look at, wow, this is crazy what's going on. Look at how you can impact and hack people's brains and tell them to go buy this product or vote for this person or do this or do that. And that's scary.
Right.
Okay. How do you undo it? It's going to take some time, because I believe once things are established the way we've accepted them and how they've evolved, it's going to be changed. Change that habit.
Right. It's going to take time. By the way, his name is Chopra, by the way, not Sharma. Chopra is the name.
Chopra. Sharma.
Chopra.
No. Gotham Chopra.
Gotham Chopra.
Thank
right.
You.
Now,
thank you for that too, Dan, because I don't want to embarrass myself more than I normally do.
Or embarrass me. But the issue of what will it become? When you talk to young people, as I mentioned, I also teach a class, and I was saying, do you guys even use Facebook anymore? And I thought they would all have said, no, we don't. They still have Facebook around because it is the way to stay in touch with people from your hometown or just check out but they don't use it. They're not actively, the young people aren't actively engaged. They did say that the real young people, so I guess millennials, yes, whatever the next generation, my kids, they're tweens now or whatever they are. Well, I know what they are.
They're kids.
But those kids, they apparently will not be going onto Facebook. That is something that they do not use. But, the millennials are still using it. But where we have seen big growth for Facebook has been with businesses using it as a tool. So you're talking about
it's a network.
Having
it's
all
ABC,
of the,
it's CBS in its infancy. It's the same.
Right, but they really use it as a marketing tool. That's where they put their information out. That's where they engage with their audiences, hopefully, they can reach them. And so when you're talking about a company having concerns potentially of how their data, their information can be used, I think that's where you could see a really big blow. I mean, yes, the masses are the people who are using it for fun, to post the picture of, look, I'm on a great vacation. Look, my little Tommy ran a mile in under 5 hours. They think it's the greatest thing ever. But it's really in that core business group that's been using it as a real asset for their businesses. I'm wondering how they'll react to it. This is one of those that we're watching very closely. And I personally, Jimmy, you don't think they'll go away. I think in its current form, how it currently is, I don't think it's going to last past another 5 years. I really don't see how it can continue. It'll be a different kind of Facebook if it survives this.
So I know we're going into the next segment with your friend from Civil.
That's correct.
And we'll explain what that is in a moment. But I read a lot about the next century of journalism and where is storytelling going to go and how can we maintain quality journalism and how can people actually still make a living being a journalist, if you will. And this was a couple of things. Steve Jobs' biographer, his name Walter Isaacson.
Yes, used to be at CNN.
Quote, we have to fix the internet. Okay? After 40 years, it's begun to corrode both itself and us. Okay? A Google strategist, he said, his name was James Williams, told The Guardian, the dynamics of the attention economy are structurally set up to undermine the human will. How about the inventor? By the way, I always felt that the internet, Al Gore didn't invent the internet. Okay,
No,
that's misinformation.
Well, but yes,
Okay.
he didn't invent it.
The U.S. military, I believe, was involved with this.
There's another guy, actually.
Berners-Lee. Berners-Lee, the inventor of the web itself, again, is that the internet? Okay. He wrote a blog post voicing his concerns that the advertising-based model of social media and search engines creates a climate where misinformation or fake news, which is surprising, shocking, or designed to appeal to our biases, can spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
Doesn't that put it in? That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, look, and I don't think we've sort of been hearing a lot of this over the last couple of years now, certainly since the president has come into office or leading up to it. The whole issue of fake news and the internet has been front and center. The question is, how will these companies navigate through this minefield? And in particular, how will Facebook be able to sort of come through the other side of this? I don't know. Too early, you think, to start saying RIP?
Oh, much too early. It's not going to be RIP. It's going to be Facebook Part 2.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Oh, there you go. From Jimmy's mouth to my ears and your ears. Hey, if you liked the episode, let us know. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter. Have any questions or comments? Let us know as well. info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. We're about to give you a lesson in civility. We're talking about a new company called Civil. Get ready to be schooled in blockchain journalism.
What? What is blockchain journalism? I get enough problem with old-fashioned traditional journalism.
Yes, but blockchain, you're having trouble with that, Jimmy?
Yes, I am. I need to know what the heck it is.
Well, you'll be finding out. But first, this is Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter and listen on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by RX Bar, the Whole Foods Protein Bar. Go to rxbar.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS for 25% off your first purchase. We're also brought to you by Little Part Media, where ideas come to life. Producing corporate videos and podcasts to tell your story. littlepartmedia.com or contact info@littlepartmedia.com. So I know you've been sitting on pins and needles, Jimmy, on this story.
I've done a little research.
You've done a little research, and we are welcoming now by phone Daniel Seberg, a former colleague of mine from CNN. He's worked at Google. He's Mr. Tech guy. He knows everything about tech. And now he's one of the co-founders of Civil. Daniel, you're on the line with us.
Say hello.
Good to be with you both.
Hey, it's so nice to have you. Jimmy and I have been talking about your story since we started discussing with you to be on our show about a week and a half ago. And every time he walks into my office, he says, "Dan, I have no idea what you're talking about."
By the way, I do that often.
Well,
Daniel.
that's right. I was going to explain that that's what he says all the time anyway. But I think this is fascinating because we love hearing about things that are on the cutting edge. So can you give us when you're making that pitch, if you were in an elevator and you're explaining to people what it is that civil is all about, how do you make that pitch?
Sure. So I'm going to throw a bunch of buzzwords at you to start with, and then I can unpack those as you see fit.
Daniel, are you on a Excuse me, Daniel, are you on a speakerphone?
Yeah.
Is there any way you'd be willing to pick up?
I've got my AirPods.
Okay.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, let me switch over to my phone here.
It just sounds a little hollow, and I know there's actually
Is that better?
much better.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, great. So let me throw some buzzwords at you, and then we can unpack those. So we are building a decentralized market for sustainable journalism on blockchain technology. So we can start with kind of the blockchain decentralized part and what that means and where we see the opportunity. So for folks who are familiar with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, this is something that, of course,
Okay.
Hey, Dan, you know what?
That was worse. Sorry, pal.
I don't know what happened with the phone line, but it is we can barely understand you.
Yeah, so the first time it was hollow, but we could understand you better than we did with the second time.
Yeah,
We're sorry that we didn't test this out. But
No, I did call him on this line before.
Okay.
But it's not sounding right.
Can you go back to how we did the original hello?
Yeah.
Before I intervened and said, "Hey, can you fix that?" Sorry.
Let's do a test here and see. As those of we're streaming.
By the way, he knows a lot of about technology, right? I just want to say that's how you built him up, didn't you?
No, he does.
Sorry.
It's something. It's the
technology is wonderful when it works.
Exactly.
I heard that.
Yeah. Now you sound
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Now explain what is the elevator pitch for
civil?
Civil.
I am in the depths of our co-working space here in Brooklyn. So I don't always get the best signal depending on where I am in the building. I apologize.
No, we're okay.
Now you're
it's all
good.
good. We're
now
good.
Better?
Yes.
This is good?
Yes.
Yep. So tell us again.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever you said before.
Yeah.
So basically, at a really high level, what we're trying to create is a platform for a marketplace that newsrooms can come in, publish their content, and monetize. Take advantage of what the blockchain, and I'm happy to get more into sort of the technical aspects of that. The two big opportunities we see in blockchain are around the permanence of content because of the decentralized nature of blockchain, and really what that means is thousands or tens of thousands of computers that are distributed all over the world that have essentially a transparent ledger or copies of the file that exist across all of those computers. So you can think of it as a massive backup or archive that can't be deleted because of the nature of the technology. So for journalists who are concerned about newsrooms being shut down or content disappearing, we see opportunity within blockchain. The other is governance. And so in addition to launching the platform, which I'm happy to get more into, we're also creating a civil token. And the civil token is just a piece of software, essentially, that people can purchase if they wish. And we know that most people probably won't go that far. They might just want to read content from the newsrooms that are producing it on civil. But by owning a civil token, you'll have an opportunity to participate in the governance of the platform, to get more involved in certain newsrooms, to really have a voice in terms of how all of this is structured going forward. So I can get more into sort of both of those things, but really at a super high level, what we care about is quality journalism, building an ecosystem where both publishers, content creators, journalists can thrive, but then also a place for developers to come and create tools and services for all of those newsrooms and journalists, and really put quality journalism as the driving force in terms of people's experience on our platform, which we think differentiates us from the experience people have today.
So it sounds like it's a user-based service, and you kind of feel like you're part of the company because you are using it as well as producing content for that?
Yeah, there's definitely a sort of a cooperative grassroots nature to what we're describing here. So Civil has been in some form of existence for a number of months. We have received $5 million in funding from Consensus, which is the largest venture studio of Ethereum being the second largest cryptocurrency in the world. And of that $5 million, we allocated $1 million to help instantiate newsrooms that didn't previously exist. So essentially newsroom startups. And so we've been working with them to provide some grant money and some civil tokens and giving them some amount of light vetting to just ensure that we send the right signal to people who come to Civil at launch, that this is the type of content that we're after. And we called out local, policy, and investigative, and international as key areas of reporting that we think are suffering and we'd like to double down on. So those newsrooms, a number of them have formed. We've announced some of them, including Popula, which is based in California, started by Maria Bustillos, formerly of the New Yorker. Cannabis Wire is our most recent one, started by a couple of students who came out of the Tao Center, focused on this multi-billion-dollar industry now growing across the country and around the world. Sludge, which is all about investigative reporting on dark money and politics. We're at Block Club Chicago, which is they, in addition to receiving some funding from us, they created a Kickstarter campaign in Chicago, and it's now become the largest journalism Kickstarter effort that we know of in Kickstarter history. So the opportunity is there to help galvanize the platform that focuses solely on journalism and everything in service of that. The experience for people after we launch will be sort of our line strategy. So there'll be content filling CMS so that each of these newsrooms has the opportunity to publish their content. They have autonomy of monetizing it. They can create some content. They can make a sort of membership drive, like be a radio station. They will have editorial and business strategy, and we're just trying to create the place for them to do that. Readers will begin seeing that content once the platform and the content actually launches, which will be later in the spring. And it will be a web experience. People will see the content. It will look and feel a bit like Medium. You know, we're creating an MVP product that won't have all the bells and whistles that we want at launch, but we're also collaborating with a lot of folks across the industry to figure out how can we grow this. We do this in a responsible way to expand what we're trying to do. And I'd be happy to get into sort of more of the governance underpinnings of what we're trying to do here to ensure that the quality journalism part rises to the top.
Well, a quick question here now. I wanted to get it clear here. Is the growth do you see growth more in these news operations that you can help to fund, or in collaborating with established news organizations already out there? Where is the biggest growth area for you?
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to just repeat that a little bit louder. I couldn't quite hear you.
Yeah, I was asking sort of where is the real growth from these newsrooms that Civil will establish and fund, or from these partnerships that you will have with established networks out there or newspapers?
Did you ask about the fund?
Yes.
Yes. So the initial $1 million fund that we created has pretty much been earmarked for all of the newsrooms that have reached out to us, and we're contemplating ways to support other newsrooms that are in touch with us. And we think that's just one way that we're trying to create an experience for people when they come to Civil. In the future, newsrooms or individual journalists, if they want to, partner with others around the world or collaborate in some way, could apply to become a newsroom on Civil and begin publishing. And in order to do that, they would need to acquire some Civil tokens. Then the process is a bit like creating a whitelist of publishers who would have access to Civil's tools and monetization options and the whole CMS. So in the future, this is not something we can offer right away, but in the future, a newsroom could apply to join Civil. They would put up some amount of Civil tokens, sort of stake their seriousness or their interest, they put together their team, their roster, and then they would have to adhere to our Civil Constitution. This is something that we've been working on a little bit internally just to kind of get it off the ground, but it's now become a very collaborative, organic document. We've had folks across the industry who have weighed in on what this Constitution should look like, how should it guide all of the behavior and ethos on the platform. And if a newsroom does not adhere to all of that, there will be opportunities for people to either get, the challenge content to challenge the newsroom, and ways that even as a newsroom applies, that people can challenge their validity or their commitment to quality journalism, depending on what their mission is about. And they would have to cite somewhere very specifically in the Constitution where they may have violated that. So and then above that, we're talking about creating a civil journalism council. We've been reaching out to a number of folks in the industry who I think you would probably know if I mentioned their names. We haven't finalized this yet, but it would be sort of the Supreme Court-like body that oversees what happens on the platform, and again, ensuring that it adheres to the quality journalism aspects that we're laying out.
By the way, my 27-year-old son understands this with no problem. Okay, just for the record, you talk about cryptocurrency. Is this pretty much where we're at?
Yeah.
And that's what he texted me.
He just texted in while we were.
He does this, but he's one of our most dedicated listeners, I might add.
That's good.
Yes.
I'm wondering, in this era where there's so much talk about fake news and concerned about the kind of content that can end up in sort of traditional places where you don't expect it, or people just end up passing it around on social media and it then becomes gospel truth. Is this this council and all of these measures that you're putting into place, I mean, this obviously is a safeguard against some of that, is it not?
I missed just the last part of your question.
I'm wondering how a platform like this could help to solve this big problem that we have with bad journalism and fake news and all of the things that are currently out there.
Yeah, I mean, we hope that we're trying to solve for what you're describing and a number of other things. So, we are very passionate about trying to figure out what civil's role can be in tackling misinformation and just bad journalism, or whatever you want to call it, inaccurate, wrong. This is part of where the civil constitution comes in that if a newsroom that is publishing content on civil does not adhere within the civil constitution, there will be a process in place for somebody to flag that, whether it's a piece of content. And again, this might be something that's more egregious or escalates beyond just a simple note to a newsroom that says, you got something wrong, can you please change that? But there's a dispute where something is clearly wrong, or there's misinformation that is not factual and needs to be reviewed. There will be a process in place for any civil token holder to do that. Now, we are trying to mitigate against frivolous challenges. We want to set sort of a minimum and maximum amount of civil tokens people might have to stake in order to challenge something like that. And we're working through just both the technology of that, the philosophy behind that, but trying to send all the right signals to people that the content that exists on civil is accurate and checks all the boxes in terms of quality journalism. There are plenty of inherent challenges with that, as you can probably imagine. Mm-hmm. And we need help. This is where we are a small company that's based in Brooklyn. We have a team that's distributed across the U.S. and an engineer of ours is even in Warsaw. And we've been spending as much time as we can, meeting with folks like yourselves and academia, industry experts, newsrooms, legacy publishers, startups, incubators, you name it, to ensure that we have this, as much as possible, a collaborative effort to really reset the conversation around what defines quality journalism, how people experience it, and how they can get more involved. And we think that blockchain technology as an underpinning of that offers a lot, but we don't want people to fixate on that. It really will probably be something that a small minority of people end up having to deal with. If a newsroom is publishing on civil and they want to create a subscription model, they can charge people dollars, euros. You can have a credit card if they want. The civil tokens are not required in order to experience any of the content on civil. It's much more about getting involved in the governance, getting involved in the sort of the grassroots nature of what we're trying to do.
That was going to be a question I was going to ask you here, is that if in fact, this was, I don't fully understand the whole concept of blockchain, and I don't really want to get into cryptocurrency. Could I still engage with this platform? So is it something that you don't have to essentially buy into every aspect of it the way you have described it in order to participate?
Gosh, I'm sorry, Dan. I hate to ask you to repeat the last
Yeah,
thing.
I guess my question was essentially some of the things that you were just touching on, is that if someone doesn't fully understand all of the things that are sort of in the back office, that doesn't preclude them from participating on Civil.
So I think, in a way, we sort of see ourselves a bit like Wikipedia. We'll use Wikipedia probably, I don't know, almost every day or every other day for all kinds of things. And we come to accept that the information there is accurate most of the time. The process that happens behind the scenes to make that work, I've never been involved with. I've never offered to be an editor. I don't even think I admitted, maybe I've donated money once. And, but I rely on Wikipedia to inform me about all kinds of things. The same, and it works. Somehow it works. There are people out there who feel passionately about it enough to go, in the example I'm sort of using in a mental model, below the waterline. So these are people who are sort of at the deep end of that pool, if you will, and they are interested in helping to vet the information and being an editor and just making sure that the content on Wikipedia is accurate. And we think the same type of person who wants to deeply get involved in Civil in that way, and we're already hearing from a lot of them through our social media channels. And that's kind of where we see an opportunity for developers to come in. In the future, we might take some percentage of the transactions between developers and newsrooms, let's say. But we don't want to get between newsrooms and audience. This is an ad-free platform. We want newsrooms to have direct relationships with their audience. We'd love newsrooms to create more sort of empathy pathways or humanity around their journalists and what they're producing. Are they on the ground? What was the data that they used? What are the signals that we can send to, or they can send to an audience that allows that sort of trust to develop? And, I think we've seen how that has been eroded based on current the sort of that people have around mainstream media or traditional media, the kind of roller coaster that I think a lot of publishers feel with social media and algorithms. So we're trying to reset all of that and start with the underpinnings of blockchain, which we think is just exciting for a lot of reasons, but offers this kind of gateway between the web. So, newsrooms will be publishing content that will be seen on the web, just like any other newsroom or any other, news entity in the world today. But then they will have the option of pushing that content to the blockchain to archive it in permanence and involve their audience in ways that have not been possible before.
Very good.
Okay.
Now, what if folks out there listening would love to find out more? How can they? Where can they go to learn more about Civil?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and by the way, thank you both for dealing with my sort of difficulty in hearing you here. So I would encourage people to go to joincivil.com. You can jump into our Telegram's a very increasingly popular messaging app, and that's where we go to talk about our Civil token launch. But it's a very easy prompt if you go to joincivil.com to jump into that Telegram group. You can also follow us on Twitter, on Facebook. We have a Slack channel where people are quite engaged. You can find us there. We're trying to find as many ways to build the community that we have. And every day I'm enthused by what we hear from people and kind of the excitement around what we're trying to build. And we are trying to be a global platform, if not right at launch, very soon after. We're already expanding into Europe and thinking about other places as well. So we would love to hear from folks and have people get as much involved as they would like, whether it's starting a newsroom, messaging this to friends, possibly purchasing Civil tokens, whatever it is. We just think that there's a real opportunity here, people who are passionate about the future of journalism, to just, in a way, start this all over again and see what we can do.
Okay. Daniel Seberg, one of the co-founders of Civil, joining us on our phone line. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Hey, if you like this episode, let us know. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter. If you have any questions or comments about our show, or you'd like to find out more about Civil, you can reach out to them at joincivil.com, or reach out to us where we can give you links to more information for you to fully grasp all of what Civil has to offer. You can find all that information by reaching out to us at info@littleparkmedia.com. That's info@littleparkmedia.com. It's the halftime. It's the halftime. This show is brought to you by Little Park Media. For all your video and podcast needs, find out more at info@littleparkmedia.com. That's info@littleparkmedia.com. Today's episode is also powered by RX Bar, the Whole Foods protein bar. Try this, try that. Jimmy, haven't you heard that all the time?
Yes, I have actually.
Eat what's healthy,
yes.
eat what's not.
And if I added a little health to my diet, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Since there isn't much there.
It'd be good for all of us.
By the way, I ate Peeps earlier today, so that gives you an idea.
Oh my goodness! But so Jimmy, this could be for you. A really great protein bar. RX bars taste really good, and they come in 11 delicious flavors. 11, Jimmy, not just one or two, but 11 flavors.
I love that.
Exactly. So there'll be something there that you like. At its core, in the ingredients, it's simply eating 3 egg whites, 2 dates, and 6 almonds. It's yummy, yummy, yummy. Our RX bars are also gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, no added sugar, no artificial colors. Can you do any better than that, Jimmy?
No,
when
I don't think
when
you
you
can.
want a snack on the go, whether you're traveling, whether you get up in the morning, you get up late, you just want to grab something before you head out the door. It's a wonderful snack to have on your way to work, when you're in the office, when you're traveling on an airplane. You could have it before working out or after you're working out. Again, it's egg white protein, stands out as a source of protein that is so easy for your body to absorb. So go to rxbar.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS for 25% off your first purchase. Is a porn star beating Trump at his own media game? This is Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook, use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter, and listen on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by RX Bar, the Whole Foods protein bar. Go to rxbar.com/CLNS and use promo code CLNS for 25% off your first purchase. We're also brought to you by Little Park Media, where ideas come to life, producing corporate videos and podcasts to tell your story. Find out more at littleparkmedia.com or contact us at info@littleparkmedia.com. So Donald Trump is the master of the Twitterverse, but a ghost.
By the way,
yes,
you wrote that.
Yes, I did.
Did you really feel, that was true?
Yes, he is the master of the Twitterverse. Tell me somebody
Master of the Twitterverse.
Tell me somebody else. Quick, ding,
No,
ding,
I told
ding.
you I don't like Twitter. I told you I don't want to have anything to do with
So
Twitter.
if you're going to
I'm
call
sick
my
of Twitter.
writing into question,
No,
give
I'm not
me
calling
another
it.
option.
You're right. My point is, it's like
Whether you like it or not, he's
Okay.
the master
There
of the
you go.
Twitterverse.
That's my-
And
okay.
ghosts from his past
yes.
are beating him
Ghosts.
at his own game.
That's
What
an
is this?
interesting
What is
ghost,
this?
eh?
What-
Okay.
what is this all about, Jimmy?
What's it all about? It's about sex.
It is.
And it's about guys misbehaving.
And it's
Once
a woman
again.
called Stormy Daniels.
Yes, but that's not her real name.
Her new real name is Stephanie Clifford.
Thank you. I knew that.
Yes, I think of Clifford, the big red dog or something.
Yes. Well,
yes.
no, she doesn't. But
No,
anyway.
she doesn't. But for 2.5 months, she has just been teasing the public and
She's a
dropping
master
hints.
of the
Yeah,
tease.
She's a master. Well, where
Did
did
you
she
notice
learn
that?
that?
Yes,
Isn't that
indeed.
something?
Yes, there's another word that goes before tease
Yes,
that
but
I'm
we're
not
not-
going to
no,
mention,
let's
just
not
for the
mention
record.
that.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. And along with her lawyer, for the last 2.5 months, they've had this campaign of sort of drip, drip, drip of information, all of these allegations that there was a relationship of some sort or some I want to say romantic, but some connection on a different level with
Dan,
the president.
they
of the
had
United States.
sex.
Well,
You
those are
can
the
say
those
that.
are the allegations that they did apparently enjoy each other's
Allegedly
company. Right.
had consensual sex.
Well, so we think that something potentially happened here. And
enough that some money had to be thrown at this
exactly.
to make her
About,
go away.
150.
130,
No,
$130,000.
$130,000. Right, which is an odd number, by the way.
13.
Not just odd, but odd. Yes. No. So anyway.
Everything about this story
is odd.
Oh,
Yes.
and then the second story that comes out this week about the Playboy bunny,
Yes,
Karen
another one.
McDougal, who really, she had a crush on Donald.
Yeah, she did.
She did, and they too. Now they had consensual sex. I heard her say it. I
Yeah.
heard her say it. I heard her
it's
also
her
say
word.
that she was attracted to Donald Trump.
Yes.
I need to
Just like you are.
Oh yeah, I'm
I'm
attracted.
You can't go through any podcast without talking about him.
I try not to mention his name.
Right, but you are obsessed with him.
Because you know why? And
Why?
I'm going to say it again.
Say it again.
All right? I'm embarrassed to be an American with this guy in the White House.
But we
Sorry.
digress from sex. So
You
we
set me
digress.
up. I'm
So
sorry.
there's this tabloid-style war that has broken out where, again, with her lawyer, they've been putting all this information out. They don't really tell you a lot of the details. But lo and behold, we may find out some of the details, or perhaps not. But she's going to be sitting down for an interview on what show, Jimmy?
60 Minutes.
Exactly.
Click,
where they asked a tough question. So I have to think that we're going to
Anderson
learn.
Cooper, right? It was Anderson.
I believe Anderson.
Yeah, I think it was Anderson.
So we expect that what we don't know now, we perhaps will know after the interview.
What I find fascinating about this, you mentioned the word lawyer a
Yes.
lot. And there were lawyers involved on both cases because there was an opportunity to dangle
Right.
some cash for these women to perhaps not tell their stories.
Right, exactly.
And we call that what? Hush money?
Hush money is
Hush
what it's
money.
called,
Hush
yes.
money. And by the way,
And,
for people who don't know,
Yeah.
these public figures
Yes.
use this tactic a
They-
lot.
And if you
athletes,
want to throw some money at us, we'll take the hush money.
No,
let's see.
I will not take hush money. I do not like
Well, it all
hushing.
depends what they don't want you to talk about.
I'll talk
Dan,
about-
don't talk about snow. Okay, give me 100,000.
All right,
and we'll
fine.
talk about snow.
Fair enough.
It all depends.
Fine.
Now there are things that you have in your past you don't want to talk about.
No, I
but-
don't. And by the way, that's my choice to
Yes.
stay hushed about it. Okay?
That's right. But what we're talking about here is the medium by which all of this information is getting out there. And I find it fascinating that President Trump, who, as I said, is the master of the Twitterverse,
Has
she's-
been silent.
Well, she has been able to match with intensity and creativity the onslaught from the administration pushing back on her stories. She has been able to stay in the news by these little bits, these little crumbs that she puts out there when people engage with her on social media, on Twitter. She'll tease out with a few more bits of information here and there, and it keeps this story alive. And I'm amazed how really we don't know anything more now than we did, when this kind of all broke. Very little. I mean, some things have formed up, but yet there's still this fascination, and it's because she's been able to manipulate and play the same game that President Trump has been playing.
You know what's disgusting to me?
No, what?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say this.
Oh, no, what
okay?
is it? What is it?
Sex
I'm
is a
little
private act. It really is.
Well-
Sex is a private act between two people. It can be it should be an
Right, it
intimate
should be.
private
Right,
act
it is.
between two people.
Right,
Okay?
yeah.
There was another case of a sexual altercation between a woman and a president.
Sexual encounter, I think.
Sexual
is right.
encounter. What did I say?
Altercation.
Oh, yeah.
I've
Well,
never-
no.
That's kind of interesting
No,
how that works.
That was not the word I wanted to use. Anyway.
That's a good. I was trying to figure out how that would work. Yes.
Sorry, I'm a little flushed right
Yes.
now.
You don't need to talk about
where
what
I'm
happened
going.
last
I'm
night,
talking
Jimmy.
about Monica. No, it did not happen next. Monica Lewinsky
Yes,
and
yes.
Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Monica went away,
Yes, she did.
and she never really told her story.
And she made purses, I believe.
Whatever she wanted
And
to do,
yes.
she had the right to do.
She was
Okay?
designed- yes.
And in this case, we've got another president. And by the way, I'm going to try and be objective here.
Yes.
Because we know that John F. Kennedy was a philanderer too.
Right. We just didn't talk about it.
We just didn't talk about it
Back
back in
then,
1960.
because there wasn't social media.
There was no social media. That's exactly. There weren't shows like Behind the Media.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
Anyway, so we get this. And by the way, there's a common denominator here, and it's the poor behavior of the male species.
That is exactly right.
Okay, that's
Yes.
why I bought that book. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it
later, another
podcast.
time. But I
Yes.
have a book. I'm going to get really well versed
Yes.
on the macho.
Breaking news, Jimmy has a book.
Yes, I'm reading a book.
He's
actually.
reading a book.
That's because I can. It's by Jackson Katz, and now
Yes.
you can Google his name and find out about this guy because he goes all around the country talking about the misbehavior of males and how. And by the way, we've seen a lot of examples of this in the news lately
Yep.
between Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby. Name somebody. Name a
Name
male,
name.
any male.
Right.
Anyway, so I get this
Right.
that this is out there, and it takes two to tangle, and supposedly these were consensual acts.
Right. And
Supposedly,
again,
we are supposing.
Right.
We're going with what lawyers are allowing us
Right.
to pontificate about,
Right.
to give our opinions about.
I mean, clearly we know something happened because hush money was given, and everyone's admitted to the fact that this money was given. So if it was just a casual something, you wouldn't be throwing around 130,000.
That's
Right.
a very
So
good
that's,
point.
yeah, that's at the foundation.
And,
of all
and
this.
it's amazing to me that these guys and these women have that kind of money to throw around. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but the question is, how long will this continue? And I think as long as they continue to play this game, it can go on forever. If I think 60 Minutes will maybe not, we'll get some little nuggets here and there, but my sense is it will just set us up for wanting more information, and then we'll spend the next 6 months getting bits and pieces of that because they've been brilliant at manipulating us through media.
Yes, they have, and I just wonder if there's any video available. I'm just saying.
That will come at the very end of the road. We'll find out there was video.
A pay-per-view, perhaps.
That's exactly what it is. And then when we tune in,
Ay, ay.
it'll be like the Geraldo Rivera thing, where there
by
was
the way,
nothing inside the vault. Well, there's
just-
nothing inside the video.
By the way,
it's all grainy.
By the way,
Yes.
you couldn't pay me $130,000
Yeah.
to watch him do anything to anyone.
Well, what if it was
sorry.
130,000 per minute?
No. Nope. Not
Yeah.
interested.
See, I
Sorry.
don't know.
I
might
am
be bought for that.
disgusted
Because
by
you can
him.
watch it, but close your eyes, or watch, like squint your eyes a little bit so you don't see the whole thing.
Disgusted. Disgusted.
If you're disgusted or if you like this episode, let us know either way. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. Have questions or comments? Let us know. info@littleparkmedia.com. That's info@littleparkmedia.com.
Wow. I'm a little flustered.
It's the fourth quarter, ladies and gentlemen. Bites
Thank
Behind
goodness.
the Media. If you can't eat the whole meal, we'll give you just a few pieces. One little drop at a time. I'm Dan Lothian.
Oh, and I'm still Jimmy Young.
This is Behind the Media. And we always want to give you the very best, as we do again this week, Jimmy. So what do you have for us here in your bites from Behind the Media?
The biggest bite.
Yes.
The biggest bite, if you will. Leading off, I'm going to once again salute the Hallmark Channel.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, we like the Hallmark Channel.
How can you not?
It's fun-loving, mindless television.
It's like opening a greeting card.
And having it sing to you.
That's right. And
Yes.
just
At a
say
time when
sweet things.
when we're opening greeting cards and they slap us in the face, we'd like to have
Correct.
them sing to us.
That's right.
Yes.
This is a nice. Well, what people don't understand. Again, let's go behind the media. here.
Exactly.
Every spring, and believe it or not, don't look out your window. It's spring.
It
okay?
is spring,
Okay,
yeah.
The calendar said so. I know this snow that's out there is going to melt.
Although
eventually.
it's warm today, it's over 40.
Good. We want it to melt. We need over 50. We need a lot of rain.
We need a rain.
Get
we need
rid
70.
of this.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Okay.
all that being said, the Hallmark Channel, which I believe is based in New York, or part of it's based in, perhaps the
yeah, I'm not aware they
corporate is
I
in
didn't-
New York.
Oh, is it? Okay.
They had a big plan at the Rainbow Room in New York to showcase what they have for their programming so advertisers can come in and go, oh, that's so cool. I want to spend money with the Hallmark Channel
Yes.
because, after all, more women watch the Hallmark Channel than any other station in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter of 2017.
And I think
Okay?
a lot of men do too. I mean, in a time when you're just getting all this negative news and everything, this is
it makes you
it's a
feel
place
good.
exactly.
It makes
like
you feel
a nice
good.
warm blanket.
Okay, so
Yes.
they got a foot of snow in New York on that day.
Yes.
Needless to say, a lot of things were canceled,
Including a trip I was planning to make there and do a
including-
production. Yes.
Absolutely, and I feel bad for all those people. And I also feel bad for our friends, the meteorologists. We should probably mention that they did
Yeah.
locally here in the Boston area.
Kind of got it, but they were hedging. It wasn't like all out. We're going to get.
I like the
just
fact that
smacked.
they've all said mea culpa. They've all,
Yes.
said, "Hey, we
That's
screwed
what
up."
they
All right,
did,
let's go
yeah.
back to the Hallmark Channel.
Okay.
What did they do, Dan? You
What
asked.
did they do?
So the event is canceled. So they go and they get a Santa Claus outfit, and I'm talking about like the CEO of Crown Media, the owners of the Hallmark Channel, and the head of media ad sales, an actress, Candace Cameron Bure. I hope it's Bure. Another actress, Danica McKellar. Anyway, they get dressed up in a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer costume and a Santa Claus costume. Go out onto the Central Park area at 6:30 p.m., I'm guessing, when the whole event was supposed to start or whatever. They go live on Facebook. Another good reason to keep Facebook around. Okay, do a Facebook Live and basically talk about what they have upcoming so those who are stuck at home could have an opportunity to see what shows they're renewing
That
and
was
what
amazing.
they have.
It was being like a
was-
postman, right?
it was
or
very
a mail
smart.
carrier, not letting snow or sleet or
It's-
anything stop them from delivering.
It allows.
On
This
time.
is why social media exists.
Exactly.
Okay, because
that wasn't a bite, by the way. That was a chunk.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But because I tend to go off.
I
Okay.
like the Byron Allen one.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You
I
have
don't
no
have
idea who this guy is.
No idea who Byron Allen is.
I've known him. He has been on the air longer than television's been around. He does
Really?
Yes. He does all these. He does all these sort of talk shows and infomercial type paid programming or whatever. He's always sitting down interviewing someone, and he's been around forever. But I think what a lot of people don't realize, he's also been building his own media empire, producing movies and producing TV shows and doing all kinds of production. Well, now this big surprise that he has bought the Weather Channel for $300 million.
Now you think $300 million, that's a lot of money.
Until you find out what the company that sold it to him for had bought it for initially.
This would be the Comcast Blackstone Bain Group.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
In 2008, bought the Weather Channel for count them, $3.5 billion.
$billion.
I'm guessing that was not a good investment for
No,
them.
not at all. That's a nice little discount. So he gets it. I believe
$300 million.
$300 million for it. Now, it does not include the online properties, which had been sold off already. But it is, I guess he's fascinated with the brand. I think the Weather Channel is a great brand. If I had the money, I would have bought it for $300 million. Every time a storm breaks out, which nowadays is all the time.
It's been a bad March.
It's either the hurricanes, it's either the snowstorms. I mean, there's all year round. There's stuff that will give you content,
but there's no climate change going on at all.
Of course,
that doesn't exist.
Of course not. Nothing's going on.
Right, nothing. Yeah,
we are all safe from the waves. But anyway, hats off. I think it's wonderful for Byron Allen to be wielding this kind of power.
Are we going to see meteorologists cutting jokes now? This is what I'd like to. I'm asking these questions.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
We're all fascinated by the weather.
Great. Someday we hope to grow Leader Park Media into where we can buy entities like that. So that would be great.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway,
sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Toy Story.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
We all know. We're all saddened by the story of the Toys R Us closing.
Yeah.
We all.
That's where I grew up without television, so I'd have to walk around a store to find some of the toys that I would buy.
That looked cool, as opposed to them telling you what was cool.
Well, actually, I had to dream about it because my parents didn't end up buying it for me.
Oh,
I'm a
man.
sad soul. Yeah.
You have a sad story. You have a sad story. Anyway.
My Toy Story.
The founder, not only did the company is going to go bankrupt, I think they're closing.
They closed down. Yeah,
they're done.
Not bankrupt. Gone.
The founder of Toys R Us died.
That's sad.
It's a bad week.
It is.
That's a bad week. I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if that helped push him. I mean, he probably was ill or something. But
Charles Lazarus, he said, "That's it. I'm checking out now."
That's a huge blow for something like that. You've had, this has been your pride and joy for so many years, and finally it folds.
For you Jeffrey lovers out there, Jeffrey the giraffe, there is hope for Toys R Us. The hope is that there's a guy in California. He's a toy mogul. Mm-hmm. His name is Isaac Larian.
Never heard of him.
Larian, okay, and he has launched the Bratz brand of dolls.
I do know those.
Okay,
yes.
He started a GoFundMe campaign to save Toys R Us, and he has pledged $200 million.
Pretty nice if you have that kind of cash.
Correct, and he's trying to raise $800 million to save Toys R Us and salvage more than half of the U.S. stores.
So $1 billion is what he's trying to get for this, right?
At least people with a lot of money, this is the way I'd like them to spend money on things like this, because it's not just...
It's jobs.
Granted,
You're saving jobs.
It's saving jobs, and he's a little selfish, let's face it, because he has a brand of toy that Toys R Us has distributed. I believe 1 in 5 sales at Toys R Us are by a Bratz doll maker, MGA Entertainment, where Larian is the CEO. So there's, all right, so but you know what? Good for him. Come on. He's trying to save jobs. He's trying to keep the stores open, and he's willing to put his money where his mouth is.
I just hope there's a broader, and I believe there would be, but there's a broader strategy than just sort of, let's keep these buildings around and let's sell toys. Because I think if you want to hang on to the past, that's great to hang on to some of the sentiments of the past, but you have to update them into the present. If not, you invest another $1 billion into something and it's flushing it down the toilet.
Right. Speaking of flushing down the toilet, go ahead. I have another item.
Okay, go ahead. No.
I get to
I was going to wrap us up, so
no.
I didn't realize you had another.
Speaking of flushing down the toilet, this is a great segue to the resurrection of the XFL and a new football league called the American Football Federation.
You kept this one.
Alliance of American
Football. In your back pocket. And
Alliance of American Football. It's on your sheet.
I didn't see. No, it's not on my sheet.
Well, look for it. It should be on your sheet.
No,
it's on the second page.
It's not on
All right,
the sheet.
It doesn't matter. There's a new spring football league that's going to be starting next year, to 2019, with the XFL launching again in 2020. And by the way, I support this 100% for a number of reasons.
Why?
One is the Sunday after the Super Bowl is the worst day for sports fans.
There's nothing else to watch on television.
Because you've basically
your
had
TV
yours.
off.
The NFL has owned Sundays for a long time. They own a day of the week.
Now they traded them in for a Monday.
Right, and
Or
a Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, but it's interestingly Friday and Saturday alone for high school football and college football.
Yes.
I don't know if those know, but you know that.
Well,
Okay.
they have a non-compete or something. I don't know.
And you know
what does that mean?
Spring football. There's more there are so many unrestricted free agents and non-drafted football players out there because the NCAA creates this system that feeds the NFL football. There's
Right.
plenty of decent football players out there for your entertainment purposes. And I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say
That almost
this.
sounds like you're offering them up for women. Like
No,
okay.
stop with that.
It's just
Get
the way
out of
that
the
you did it.
gutter. Will
Okay.
you? Enough with
Plenty
that.
of them, yeah. For
My
your
po- My
entertainment.
point is two things.
Yes,
One is
one.
more jobs for sportscasters.
Number two?
More jobs for sportscasters and more opportunities for advertisers to find the male audience. And it gives you something to do for 8 to 10 weeks in that February and March, April swoon,
Dead
really
zone.
before
Sports dead
baseball
zone.
starts.
Yes.
And it, sure enough, my former fellow broadcaster, sports talk show host, ripped into this up. And I'm like, you guys are clueless. First of all, it gives more jobs. Second of all, they're not going to be the NFL the
Right.
next week. It's just going to be another football example of the game of football. And they've changed some of the rules to make it more exciting. Yeah. You know what? I hope I hope they survive.
Yeah, they
and more
probably
importantly, I know they're not.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you this right now.
Yes.
When the AAF launches on CBS,
Yes.
okay, that first game will be the highest watched television
Oh, I'll
show
watch it.
of that week.
Yeah.
I guarantee
It will probably be lingerie football. You know there was that.
Yes, I do know that.
Okay.
That was not where I was going.
But
with
that's
this.
where I went.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay.
All right, I'll let you get away with it.
Hey,
But I salute them. I wish them the best of luck. And I don't agree with those talk show hosts out there who are saying, oh, it's going to fail. It's going to stink. Don't compare it to the NFL. The NFL's been around for 100 years almost.
Yeah. Wow. So, a new type of football, the
Yes.
death of a Toy Story icon.
Social media, could it be the end of
Could
Facebook?
it be? I mean, it's just so much good stuff that we put out
It's
there
the
today.
apocalypse.
It's
the media apocalypse.
Media apocalypse.
It's
Wow,
about-
that's
it's on
interesting.
us.
It blew up, as a
Yes.
friend of mine used to say. Hey, did you like the show? Don't blow it up. Like it, share it. Keep listening on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. For our director, Steve Helmuth, and our producer and social media guru, Alex Barth, I am Dan Lothian.
And I admit I'm still Jimmy Young.
And until next time, bye-bye.